How are we doing, my people? Welcome back to the Celtic Cast Podcast. And today we have a very special guest, Sir Christian McAlinden. So, Christian, for anybody who doesn't know you, introduce yourself, mate.
Hello, I'm Christian. Bit of a dinosaur of the game, I suppose now. I've been bodybuilding pretty much. I think I did my first show back in, would have been 2011, I think. So I was on the scene for right up to pretty much March 2020. And then obviously COVID hit. But we can get into in the pod. But yeah, I got very sick. Had to kind of step away. But I would have primarily competed with NABA, and I won the NABA overall in 2018, and would have competed a lot in done a few NABA Universe, the World, and then would have done a bit of RBF, WFFF, and when I was in America, did an NPC show over there as well. So been around the block. Safe to say nobody knows me because I've been away a few years. But yeah, I not my first rodeo with this.
How long has it been, Christian? Is it 8 years since you've stepped on stage and this year's the comeback?
It will be 8 years. Yeah. Crazy to think about it, really. Think about it that way. Or sorry, 7. Actually, would be 7 years. I came second at the NABA Worlds in Class 3 in 2019. Yeah, June 2019. And that was my last time competing. Yeah. I was kind of probably going to do the muscle contest before the shit show, and then everything kind of closed down and everything. So it's been a while. So yeah, kind of still one of those things. I'm like, am I really back? I'm really back doing this, because when I say I stepped away, lads, I genuinely lost every bit of muscle I had. Like, I really did. So it is definitely a stranger. Yeah,
Let,
it's like,
mad.
well, let me jump in for a second, because no one's going to know who Christian is, right? So we want to get Christian on. Christian is one of the OGs of Irish bodybuilding. So for any of the young guys watching this, you will have no idea who he is. So when I started bodybuilding in 2016, my first show, Christian was a junior, and he was like the guy I'd look up to. I'd be like, fuck, like, that's the standards. Like, you know, and Christian, you were someone who, you were the one I looked up to in terms of, right, that's where I need to kind of be at in the junior level. So he was competing like a long time as a junior before I even started. And then I started, and then he stepped out with juniors. So he's been around the block a lot back in the day. And like I said, nobody here, because we have a lot of young listeners, you probably won't know who he is. So you probably just brush past this and be like, oh, I don't know who you're, but you know what, Christian, do you even have anything up on your Instagram or anything, pictures from ages ago? We should have got some up, but he is competing in a muscle contest this year. That's why we wanted to get him back on, because it's been a long time away from stage. So he'll kind of fill us in terms of what he stepped away from stage, and you will see his physique over this next few weeks coming in.
And Christian, just one there now. So when you last competed up to now, what has changed the most in bodybuilding? Say when you go on social media or what you look at now, what do you see the difference from 2018 to 2026, especially say even Irish bodybuilding?
Oh, but I suppose the first thing is, if I'm being completely honest, and look, Mark will tell you I'm pretty honest. I don't sugarcoat things, but it's very obvious to see who are the clowns and who know their shit, you know. So obviously, Mike, I started following you very recently. You took a few days, by the way, to follow me back, but we'll forget it.
I'm sorry.
But like, I see that, like, I look at the content you guys are putting out, you know, clearly lads, you've done the work, you know, been there, done that, have an education in terms of upskilled, know your shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, advising clients the right way, whatnot. But like, yeah, it's quite worrying, you know, to see like what you're seeing with kind of the younger people. And look, it's very easy to be, I suppose, when you're looking at this and you're starting out, like, for every kind of like young kind of 21, 22-year-old kind of putting this stuff out here in terms of like, one, to grow your arms, stop doing this, and then they start a reel, right? But at the same time, I'm constantly getting hit with ads from like social media kind of companies saying, we'll grow your social media, we'll get you more clients. And it's sort of like the bit of advice, and just like, like when it comes to marketing and whatnot, I was like, I'd love to tell people you don't need that. You really don't need this to grow, your business, your education. Like you yourself, you are a brand, and you need to create your brand.
We
Like
spoke
you
about
need
this
to
in
be the
our
brand,
podcast.
And like, I really just wish I could just say that to people, like shake people. Like, no, you don't need to do this. Don't listen to the social media company who haven't a fucking clue about, 60-year-old Mary's Bloods. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what to do with that. Like that's the stuff you need to go learn about. Different types of people, ages, and you're seeing this kind of people who are kind of, I don't know, saying they're PTs, but it's very kind of like bodybuilding led. And then when it comes to, I suppose, away from the kind of business side of things and whatnot, what you're kind of seeing, I suppose, is like, yeah, it's so different, Mike. Okay, when Mark and I were coming up, okay, the idea of becoming an IFBB pro just seemed crazy. Like it was far, like the people who did that, it was a handful, right?
Yeah.
Our goals, Mark, I would probably speak for you here. Like what we aspired when we were younger was to win an overall. Like that was it, and then go represent Ireland, whether it was through RWF or NABA. Like that was the goal, and then try place at one of these shows. You know what I mean? Like that's what we had. Like it's great to see so many more opportunities, and like obviously so many more Irish people getting that opportunity to turn pro in the IFBB Pro League. Excuse me, like through the NPC and whatnot. But like I think a lot of people are talking about want to be pro. And I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of probably coaches, are they brainwashing people's minds saying you can turn pro, you can turn pro? But guys, like this is a big thing. This is like, like I went to watch the show. I went to watch some of the lads' shows, last year and the year before. And I'm like, this shit's no joke. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the standard's gotten worse. It's gotten better. There's more opportunities, but I do think like the big thing, Mike, is a lot of people just all of a sudden, they're lifting a year or two, they hop on cycle, and all of a sudden they're on road to pro.
You see it as well. Like they think the journey's easier than what it is. Like social media is saying this goal is achievable a lot sooner than possible. So
I'm seeing that, and obviously they're trying to grow a brand, become like online coaches and whatnot. And it's just sort of like I just think a lot of people are going around it the wrong way, trying to like lead with this. What you think people want to hear is, want to grow your biceps, we'll do it this way. Stop doing your chest press this way. It's like, well, mate, you don't even have a chest, I mean, like,
right, Christian, right? Is that like, it's almost just like that mob mentality. People get just sucked into making that content without even realizing what they're doing. Everyone is just trying to conform. People think, well, if I want to be a coach, I just need to make this sort of content, and it just becomes really widespread. I can kind of see it, like I can empathize a little bit with people who make that content. Like I've given out about that before myself in the past. But it's just the game these days, isn't it? It's the way social media has gone. It's the way your body.
But I find like you do a lot of reels, Darren. I think they're very good. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. You know what I mean? It's very, you can always tell what's organic and what they've been kind of taught how to do, or like a social media company or whatnot, has told them how to do this, a marketing company has told you to do this. It's like, but really, like, you're not going to like grow your online brand, like your brand for one, or your kind of your coaching business, unless you're selling yourself. And I think this is me looking on the outside, but I really do feel like, you need to be your own person and you need to sell your own brand, but like what we're seeing is, I kind of feel like, well, it's Groundhog Day. It's the same reel, same shit, but you can always tell, like, when people are doing it their own way. And that's the stuff that stands out to me personally. That's just me looking there. So obviously I'm not in the industry or whatnot, but like looking at it, I'm kind of seeing a lot of people who are getting into bodybuilding, and naturally what goes with that is they want to do it. Like a lot of them want to be in the kind of build a career through it, and I'm just seeing a lot of this, and it's like, I don't know. It's not the way I'd go about it.
If we look at, say, Dara, Mark and me, why did we start all this? It was the love of bodybuilding. It was the love of progression. Like I didn't think I'd be where I am today, or even the same with you. We didn't think this was the end goal. Mine was the enjoyment of helping people, my own training, and obviously just getting clients on stage. And it just elevated, like, whereas what Christian's saying, there's young guys are coming in thinking they're going to just make a big buck and they're going to do it all without actually the love of the game.
Well, I think like you guys climbed the ranks, right? Yeah. But I think what I'm seeing here is there's the younger generation are looking to go from here and just jump over to, skip all the hard work and go straight to here. build the kind of like the level you guys are at with your clients, the number of clients you have. But they don't see the hours you guys have put in, the courses you guys have done, the hours of studying, you know, the hours of building your own brand. They don't see that. It's just like, no. I want 30 clients now. You know what I mean? It's like, why don't I have it? You know, so it's,
And like,
I think there's a little bit of that as well. Perseverance, maybe, you know, maybe that's missing a little bit, you know?
we get asked all the time, Christian, every single time I put up a Q&A on my own Instagram or a Q&A for this, any tips you have for online coaches, right? It's the number one question I always get asked.
Yeah.
Go onto the person's page. They don't even have any content up. They don't even have a physique. And it's just like, you know, again, like it's just chicken before the egg, horse before the cart sort of a thing. It's like you're focusing on the wrong thing.
I just personally feel like I watch the podcast. Obviously, that's the, like, I genuinely do watch you guys. The only podcast for just three lads being themselves, just chatting shit. Like, but that's like, I think that speaks volumes about why you guys are successful. You're yourselves. What you see is what you get. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think
sometimes
that's
I'm
the
a
thing.
little to myself on this podcast. I think I might have to maybe slightly censor it, maybe about 5% of the part.
You're okay at the minute. We're all good. But
Yeah, just don't mention that about fat people, or I'll walk them one.
we'll be on it again. But let's get into the kind of the bodybuilding side then. So, like, Christian, what drew you to bodybuilding before 2011? Where did this start? This college, was this like into school or any other sports, and you got into it?
And tell us about America as well, because you were over there.
Yeah. Sure. I suppose what I got into is like, I kind of got into it for the wrong reasons, to be honest. Like, I was always kind of big into, like, when I was big into, obviously we were all aware, right? WWF, WWE, like we were all big into that. Like, you saw Hulk Hogan and everything, like, wow, you know, really want to look like that. Didn't do a great job of that. I was a really fat kid, like really fat. But yeah, I would have got kind of teased about, you know, being fat and whatnot. And I was very sensitive. I was a really sensitive kid, you know, and didn't take that well. But eventually kind of that drove me to kind of lose the weight, right? But when you kind of I think when you get teased about being fat, or like people kind of comment on it, it's something about being like, you stay self-conscious about it, no matter how much weight you lose, right? So I'd have played rugby in school, so I was always trying to get bigger for that and whatnot. But like at the same time, I just loved the lifting. I love lifting, you know. And I suppose then I was kind of like in between two minds of like, I kind of was enjoying playing rugby, yeah. But at the same time, all I wanted to do was actually train. You know what I mean? So I remember getting injured from rugby and was doing nothing but kind of upper body training. I had injured my knee, so I was like, oh, geez, I'd love doing this. Did it, like, you guys have already touched on this, you know, talk about like, you'd love to have done a natural show. Like, I did an arseways if I just jumped straight on, you know, no diet, no nothing, like just fucking taking shit, and looked awful, like really bad. But the worst thing was, like, I think I was also a bit of a... Huh?
What was the first cycle back in the day?
Oh God, it was actually, I got my hands on Test, Deca and Tren. Wonderful cycle, right? Brilliant, you know.
It was a good spot.
Couldn't tell you the dose. I think it was just like, I don't think it was like very like good either. Like maybe one where I was like, oh fuck, I forgot to pin that.
Each
Like,
every
maybe
day.
do 2 pins this week, or like, did I remember to do that? I'll do 3, and I'll do 3 this week, you know, and I'll bring it back down next week. Mad stuff, really. So safe to say, I looked awful. So it was pretty out of shape as it was. And yeah, I suppose like, I was a bit of an attention seeker back then as well, being completely honest. So I kind of wanted attention for that, for getting big. And, you know, you looked big on a t-shirt kind of thing, you know what I mean? And you looked bigger than the average Joe, because all of a sudden you're taking stuff. So your arms are naturally bigger than everyone's. You're loving this. You're like, right, I'm going to take my top off now. And I'm going to take photos. I'm going to put up on Facebook. I'm going to say, I'm a bodybuilder now. You know, that went fucking awful, lads. Jesus, that comment blew up with some pretty awful comments and people in my messages taking the piss out of me. So anyway, long story short, I was like, you know what, fuck this, you know, I'm going to prove everything wrong. So jumped on a ketogenic diet that I found online from a guy on the forums back in the day called Razor Ripped. So I don't know if anyone came across him, but it was a really bad diet. It was kind of like chicken. It was like 2 protein shakes a day. The rest of the meals were chicken, and your fat sources were like olive oil and peanut butter. Like, it was proper keto, you know what I mean? And then like one day a week, it was like 4 carb meals was your refeed, you know, and you'd go again. Anyway, I kind of went way overboard with that. At this stage, I think I got my hands on more more gear. So I lashed more stuff in there. Again, no structure or anything, just lashing things in like there was no tomorrow. Couldn't even tell you what it was, but yeah, I'll have a bit of that, thanks. And, over like the space of 6 weeks, I lost about 20 kilos. I went from like 103, down to like 73 or something like that. And I looked like Christian Bale, the machinist. All the muscle I had was gone. And I still had a little pot belly. So I just looked like a skinny fat guy now. So that was great. Anyway, long story short, at that stage, it's like, you know what, fucking I'm going to do a bodybuilding show. So I went out to, again, this is how delusional I was. I like got photos taken. I went out to the old Atlas in Clondalkin and got some photos taken. And this guy, with this guy, Carl was his name. And Brian Hickey saw me and he was like, you need to be, he was like, start dieting tomorrow. He was like, you need all the time. And I didn't like that. I was like, fuck you. I don't want to do that, you know? So waited a while and then signed up to Dave Palumbo's. Like I signed up for Dave Palumbo's, like literally never spoke to Dave.
So funny. When you said keto earlier, I found keto on the forums. First person I thought was Dave Palumbo.
Yeah, and it was, funny enough, it wasn't Dave. I went to Dave after the keto. But like here, it gets better. Like, so I just go online. It says like, I don't know what it was like back then, like $500, 16-month prep, contest prep. I sign up to it, get an email with all the stuff. Like, I'm like, oh, it's deadly. Like a fucking idiot. Bought all the species nutrition as well. It was like, I'm there thinking, I must take this brand. It has to be everything here. Go online, spend a fucking fortune. Like, have to pay whatever, how much imports for the fucking USA stuff that comes over from Dave Palumbo's. So I followed that for a few weeks. Decided I didn't like the dieting part. So I stopped. Completely stopped dieting. Did a bit of training. But was out drinking, being like a normal kind of 19-year-old. Then it was my 20th birthday on the Thursday. Went out in the piss that night. Hung over the Friday, eating chocolate biscuit cake for my birthday the Friday night. Got up on the Saturday. It was RBF Nationals out in the Helix. I had egg whites, porridge, and about a litre of water. Completely out of shape. Like, bear in mind, like this, like I followed that diet for about 3-4 weeks, and then the rest, the next 12 weeks, no diet at all. Rock out to the Helix, looked fucking, well, it speaks for itself. That was Shane Cullen's first show as well in the juniors, so myself and Shane were there with a guy called Richard Chinky. He won that day. He was very good. But I'll always remember, like, naturally, lads, I looked fucking awful. Like, I really did, like a big water balloon, you know? And I'll always remember this because there was 4 people that day. Everyone laughed at me, but there was 4 people who didn't laugh at me that day. One of them was Vinnie Crane. Another guy was a guy called Carl Sullivan. Tommy Staunton and Brian Hickey, okay? They were the only people who didn't laugh at me that day and tried to kind of give me a bit of, you know, reassurance and whatnot. And I was just like, oh, fuck, you know, really embarrassed when I kind of got there. I was like, what have I done? Funny enough, when I came backstage, Tommy Staunton was waiting for me and he was like, you're a big lad, but you need to learn how to diet, you know? So he's like, look, give me a message on Facebook and I'm going to help you out. So I did. When the Monday came, then I messaged Tommy, and in fairness to him, free of charge, he sent me a full off-season kind of diet and said, this is what you should do. Give me some advice on the PDs front, and then pretty much followed that for a few months. Actually, things went quite well, added a bit of muscle. And then went and met Tommy in Raw in town at the time, sat down with him. He had done out back then pen and paper, a kind of a diet, a workout split, everything, because I wanted to do the Spring Classic, which is RBF as well, in Waterford that year. So we started, did the 16 weeks. And at the same time, Ironhouse in Clondalkin opened. So obviously Brian Hickey was another person who'd been super nice to me, and he invited me to go out and train with him. And then I started going out training a little bit with Brian. He was like, do you want to start training together if this time suits you? And I was like, yeah, deadly. So started training with Brian at the same time. I don't really know what happened at that stage, but they clashed a little bit. So that caused a little friction, I think, at times. And yeah, I kind of then got to 6 weeks. And I think at this stage, I kind of started acting the bollock. And I was talking, you bet your ass I was on fucking social media talking the biggest game ever. And just to let you know, by the way, I knew I was going to be going up against Blessing, calling him out left, right, and center. Can you imagine, you know, the embarrassment of this day? So, you know, so I think Tommy's there like, this guy's a fucking prick, you know what I mean? So Tommy's almost like ready to wash his hands of me. So gets to about the 6 week mark. I decided, you know what, actually, I'm probably not going to do this. So I kind of decided to kind of pack it in, start going out again, drinking, all this shit, you know. So then, don't ask why, about a week out, I'm like, oh, I've already registered. I may as well do it. I actually don't look too bad, you know. Maybe I'll take a bit of Aldactone, it'll be grand. So Tommy's like, you know, he's like, I don't even look at you, mate. So I rock in. I'm really delusional. I think I look okay. But then I get to Waterford, do kind of get ready, and I'm like, I see all the lads backstage pumping up. Conor McGee was one competing that day as well. And I'm like, oh, fuck. They're all way better nick than me. And I'm like, I can barely see six lines here in my abs. I'm like, oh no, I've got this wrong. So, so immediately I'm ringing Brian, like, are you nearly here? Are you nearly here? And he's like, you'll fucking be there soon. So I kind of like, Brian, come on. He hasn't seen me in a few weeks, you know. He didn't know what I was up to, you know. So I kind of whip off my top and everything. Like, what can I do? My tan is awful as well. And he's like, there's not much you can do. He's like, try to get a bit of a pump here. You know, he goes, drink this. He gave me like a Lucasite. He's like, have a few sips of this and pick up some dumbbells and curl up. There's nothing you can do. So went out there. By the way, like the Connor is a very funny photo from that day. It's awful. Like these like speed lines are put on the side of me. Oh, my head, it was awful. So yeah, that didn't go too well. I came like fourth, but the standard was shit. And then I got backstage. I was like, I said to Brian, I was like, I never want to look like that ever again. And he was like, I'm going to help you, but you have to come off everything. Because this stage, you know, I'm drinking, taking all this shit. I think I was taking like a fucking 100 and something micrograms, like 150 micrograms of T3 as well, like mad stuff, you know. So he's like, you need to come off everything. I'm going to help you, but you need to come off everything. I don't want you to see you post a single fucking thing online or I'm walking away from you. I'm done with you. So I was like, all right, yeah, you know, so I actually, that from that point on, that's when I kind of locked in. I was like, you know what, fuck this, you know, I'm in. And that's from then, everything turned around, to be honest with you, because
What year was that, Christian?
that would have been 2000 and the summer of 2012. Summer of 2012, everything started kind of turning around. I started taking it more seriously under Brian. So took a long time off, and then he put me on a very basic, like 500 milligrams test cycle. When I went back on, I responded really well. But again, just really following the basics now, and just doing what I told, because I was very aware he was taking me under my arm. He was taking me under his wing, you know what I mean, and trying to like help me, you know. And I really appreciate it, because I was like, I'm not going to fuck this up again, and I really want to look like a bodybuilder. So started taking it more seriously, and as time went on, I through a friend as well, I had an opportunity to go out to America. So I said, yeah, fuck it, you know what? And I actually went and lived with Lee Priest's ex-wife, Kathy LeFrancois. So she's an ex-bodybuilder herself. So I live with Kathy in El Monte in California. I'd also met a girl, so I moved down to Las Vegas as well. So I was down in Vegas, they're living there as well. Training in Gold, Summerlin, which was Jay Cutler's local one. But never saw him there. But it was a pretty cool environment. So I was living over there, and at this stage we were prepping for, I think we were going to prep for nationals, but I ended up actually competing over in America at the Patriots Challenge in Las Vegas, and I won the novice class. I was 21 at that stage, and yeah, that was probably the first time, and pictures made its way back here, and people were like, oh, fuck, he really turned things around, you know, he finally lived up to some, you know, he actually got in shape, you know what I mean? So I didn't end up competing in Ireland that October, and I was actually peeled, but I got like a vomiting bug at that stage, so had to pull out, couldn't pull it back in, and I was like, I didn't have the confidence. I was like, not doing this again on an Irish stage. So we pulled it, said next year. So yeah, at that stage, I was still obviously eligible to do the juniors. Next year I went on, did the juniors, won the juniors at RBF. The next day was NABA. Brian was like, no, fuck this. You're not doing juniors again. Jump into class 3. So jumped into class 3, and I came second at that. That was cool. That was a really, really cool experience, because it was me and a guy called Neil Farrell, somebody I would have looked up to quite a bit. And it was kind of neck and neck. You know, we really went, and one of those things, like, people had said I was winning it, and then he was getting better, but I was getting flatter, you know, especially after the show.
I was there, Christian.
Yeah.
I was at that.
Yeah, so it was weird. It was definitely a surreal moment. I just was there hoping to place in the top 6, and there I am with Neil Farrell battling out for the class 3 title. So like, this is fucking mad, you know what I mean? But that was a great experience, and that kind of gave me belief, but probably in the wrong way then, because I probably got a bit ahead of myself again then, kind of again thought, well, this is great. Like, you know, I'm guaranteed to win class 3 next year. And at this stage, I was training with Brian. Like we were like always together. Mark will remember that. Like, you know, we were always together, and he was getting ready to do the WFF Worlds, the year after that. And I did some really fucking stupid, because I was a weird height where I could jump. Like, I was maybe class 2, maybe class 3. I was originally meant to do class 2 that day after the juniors, but they were like, no, you should be class 3, because I'm 170, so I'm just under 5'7". So looking back, I should have been. I used to have this spiky hair, so I think it made me look a bit taller. But anyway, long story short, the year after came, and Brian decided last minute to jump into NABA, and yeah, I panicked and I fucking jumped. I avoided him. I tried to get into class 2. I'll always regret that. I'll always regret that. And I you know, I was like, oh no, they said my height actually in class 2. I knew what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll win class 2. I didn't win class 2. I came second class 2 as well. You know, Damien Cornaz won that day, and you know, he was very good. He won the overall RBF that year. I was like, cool, good stuff. So that's bad karma for you. But when I look back, I was like, why on earth did I care about losing to Brian? Because that's proper order. Your coach beats you, you know, like that's fine. You know, I'm still only, you know, what, 23, 24 at this stage. Like, what's the big deal? Relax, you know? So yeah, that was kind of me. I kind of disappeared for a while. Alex, my wife, and I had a kid, and then took a bit of time out. And then Mark will kind of remember after that, I kind of went rogue. Like, you never saw me online, wasn't on social media, everything. So Mark will remember I just didn't tell any soul. No one knew I was going to do the NABA in 2018, and I just showed up, and yeah, I won that show, which I was chuffed at. And then yeah, the last show would have been 6 months later, 7 months later, and the world again. One of those things I really enjoyed. I didn't like being on social media. Just best thing for me was head down. Social media wasn't good for me. Be away from that. And then yeah, I came second at the NABA World that day, which was great. Obviously chuffed with that. And then the guy who won it, Paul Latham, he ended up actually winning his pro card through NPC not that long later. So it was kind of one of those things. Oh, great, cool, you know. And then yeah, so that was cool. Everything was good. And then pretty much after that, things really started to take off, because I always was very lucky. I was always able to stay very lean. Once I started bodybuilding, I just seemed to like, don't know what it was. Like, I just seemed to, once I had all my ducks in a row and I was doing the do, I could stay super lean and eat lots of food, never have to do a huge amount to get in shape, which is great. Like, that was just the way it is. It's not a flex at all. It doesn't make you a better bodybuilder. It's just, you know, something you're lucky with, right? So yeah, things kind of took off. I just really started to get a lot more out of bang for my buck with the off season. And yeah, it was going really well. And I started to really kind of, I hate fucking using this when you're talking about yourself, blow up. But I started improving, you know, at a much quicker rate than previously. Okay. So
I can confirm it was blown up.
yeah,
it was big.
it was a lot quicker than the years previous. It just seemed like I really found my rhythm.
Why was that, Christian? Do you think it was because you were more meticulous with your diet, with your training, or what?
Yeah, great question.
In that change?
Great question. I would always kind of not pushed food, Dara. I always kind of probably like taken my carbs of maybe 200 grams, left fats as they were, and maybe just have 2 off plans a week. And that's like what I would have called pushing, you know what I mean, back then. This time I decided to do something different. I was like, you know what, like, let's just see what happens if I take it a bit further. So I kept pushing food a bit harder. Weight started, like, my performance in the gym started to improve, and just everything genuinely started to click a lot better. And I think it's just because I was in such a good spot, because I owned, like, after the NABA 2018, the NABA Ireland 2018, I had stayed super lean before the NABA World, so much so we only did a 9-week prep. And then again, so I just kept my body. I think my insulin sensitivity was just excellent. You know what I mean? I think everything was just in a really good spot for that next push up, you know? So at that stage, I was also kind of probably, pushing stuff mad at that stage. I think I'd like to start putting Anadrol as well, which kind of gave me a big jump, just like 50 milligrams. But I suddenly, like, when you put that in with everything else, the increased food, everything's performance was great. Pulled that out. Didn't come off though. I didn't come off. I kind of then was staying on test EQ when I pulled the tren out, and then kind of cruising along for that. And a lot of people are kind of saying like, you probably need to move on now, you know,
or when you say cruising along, Christian, like, were you saying you were like bridging between your cycles with testing EP? Like,
no.
what was it looking like at that?
Oh, easily about probably a gram of tests and 500 EQ is what I would have called a down period at that stage, you know, like that for me seemed like that's fine, you know what I mean? Because I'm not like, the way you justify that is like, oh, I'm not taking any train, I'm not taking anything else.
Yeah.
You know, I've removed
Was that just like, you know, the sentiment at the time that people thought,
but like the thing about it is, I'm like, what am I doing? Because like when I look back now, like I remember just like I take the Andro, I'm like, fucking great, feel great in the gym. Then I'd leave the gym and I'd just be crying on the way home, and I have no idea why. Then I get out of the car, absolutely fine. It's like la 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 la, like a proper sociopath, like just an absolute nut job. Like, so, but like you can't tell that it might have been the Anadrol, no. But anyway, like, you know, I was very deep. I was so consumed by the sport. It's all I cared about. And then I suppose at this stage I was kind of like looking at, you know, maybe I need to try something else. Maybe I need to look at a different coach, you know. And the ironic thing was I was actually looking at Alan Kelly at the time, because he had huge success at Vinny. A lot of people were going to him. I was like, fuck, he's really good, you know. And we'd been following each other on Instagram, and I was like, oh, like, I think Alan might be very good. And Mark, you and I were chatting at this time, and then I was talking about Patrick Tor or Matt Jansen. And I immediately was like, what about Al? I was like, I fucking can't. It'll be like stabbing Brian in the back to go to another Irish coach. I was like, I can't fucking do this. If I'm doing this, it's going to have to be someone else, you know? So Mark and I had loads of chats about this, actually, because we trained a good bit at that stage together. And I was thinking about Patrick. You were thinking about Patrick at the time as well, you know? So
I played the Patrick.
Yeah, yeah. I think I vaguely remember that, and then that's when I disappeared. So, but yeah. So anyway, long story, I had the worst. I fucking remember saying to Brian, it was a really awful, because you're almost saying to somebody you've spent so much time with, you have such a big relationship with up until this point. But it's like, no, you know what? And like the thing was, Kathy was also
at that stage, Christian.
Pardon?
How many years had it been at that stage that yourself and Brian were?
I had six at this stage. Yeah.
Christian, didn't you own a gym with Brian as well?
Yeah, we did. We did own a gym, you know, and like, look, a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of bullshit about Brian and I, like, you know, and like this, that, and the other. Brian was never nothing but good to me, you know, genuinely, like, you know, he didn't charge me anything, you know. He always was like, he was a friend. He really was. He was somebody who went and took me under a wing. He was like somebody very lost in himself, you know, and probably could have gone down a very bad path if it wasn't for him at that stage of my life, to be honest. And look, when I got out of bodybuilding, I pulled away. Like, I wasn't there for him when he tore his quads, and that's something I have to live with, you know. And I've apologized to him. He is somebody I talk to all the time now. You know, we have rekindled, and we're very good friends. He's super supportive of this kind of comeback, you know, and like he's a good friend. He is a very good friend, and that's like all I'll say on that kind of matter, you know.
And just for anyone, watching this, sorry, Mike, Brian, for anyone watching this who was obviously young, Brian is another huge name in Irish bodybuilding, one of Ireland's best bodybuilders as well. So go look up these people and you'll see them from years ago. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so no, not always.
2019. Is that where we are now in the timescale?
We are kind of going into the kind of Christmas time, 2019, towards Christmas, and that's when I made the shift over to Patrick, because I was kind of looking at this stage, everyone's saying, oh, you should, you know, the way things are going, you should try the muscle contest. And I'm like, God, I don't know about that now, you know, because the idea of turning pro or any of this shit, like, I was like, this, no way, because it's just like, and when growing up, we didn't believe this could happen, you know, like when Vinny and Shane did it, it was like, whoa, what the fuck, you know, that's incredible, you know. Blessing was always, you know, he was the one person you're like, yeah, fair enough, you know. But at this stage, I was kind of talking to Mark. I think the deciding factor as well, kind of had Kathy had also been coached by Patrick, and she was like, no, definitely go to Patrick. So that was like, right, going to Patrick, you know. Yeah, we didn't get on that well. We clashed a lot. But look, we went and didn't always agree with things. Like, I was still super lean. He was like, no meals all planned. I was like, well, I like having a meal off at the weekend, so I'm going to do it. I'm still quite lean. He was like, no, you know. So it was this back and forth, you know. And yeah, look, I'm not going to get into it into depth, but yeah, the protocols he gave me weren't great, you know. And then obviously, look, I'm not going to like what happened to me before I kind of get into the deep stuff. What happened to me was 1000% my own doing. Okay. Nothing to do with anyone else's fault. It's my years of being reckless. Okay. Years of being reckless. Okay. But I suppose I started to push things again, under a new coach. And
Christian, obviously, you don't have to like, you know, you don't have to speak about anything you don't want to speak about, right? But
no, of course I do, man. But listen, I'm a very
I'm pushing.
what you see is what you get with me, man. You know, like I really don't like. The thing is, I actually also don't care what anyone thinks about me. At the
It's
same time, you know.
is just so people are aware, because obviously, like when we're on this podcast, we talk about things quite a lot. We're very open about like dosages and this and that. And, like I've come on this podcast, like almost had maybe quite a contradictory viewpoint where I'll say to people, "Oh, you should be healthy and you should take all the precautions, you should do this and that." But then I've also said, "Oh, once I went to X dose, or once I start to slightly push things and had my ducks in a row, to start to make more progress, and etc. etc." And I do think like there is a timeline and there is a phase and there is, you know, certain level you have to push it to if you want to get, you know, maybe somewhere. But obviously it's build up to that point, etc. etc. right?
Yeah.
But even, you know, I was watching actually the Big Dog Cast this morning, right? And Jimmy Tonk was going on about some of his cycles with Milos, right? And all this fucking crazy shit. And we've all heard about all these crazy cycles and these crazy protocols. And sometimes I think what I'm doing is pushing it, because these days people will tell you, right? And I've seen a lot of reels about this on social media. Oh, if you go above 2 grams, you're pushing it. You should never go above 2 grams. None of the pros are running that. And all the best guys in the world don't have to do that to make progress and blah, 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 right? See a lot of this bollocks these days. It's really pissing me off. I'm going to actually make a reel about it soon today because I'm sick of seeing it, right? Like, it's just people are just vilifying like anyone who takes like over 2 grams. It's like, why? It's like, you know, everybody's different. Yeah, Phil Heath doesn't have to take 2 grams, but you're not fucking Phil Heath. You know what I mean? But there's, you know, taking cycles like we take that might be 2 grams, right? Where we're monitoring our blood work, we're taking the health precautions, we're still coming off and we're doing everything we need to do, right? And then there's maybe pushing it like you're pushing it, where you don't have any idea about blood work. Maybe the compounds are a little bit more dangerous. Tell us the difference so that the viewers and the listeners can actually kind of understand.
100%. Yeah.
I talk about pushing things versus when you're talking about pushing things. What is it?
Yeah, 100%. Like, so I think the big thing with Dars has touched on, there's no blood work involved here whatsoever. There's been no requests of it. Like, I should have known myself. There's no health supplements. There's nothing. There's just fucking Russian roulette, to be honest, when it comes to my health. And thinking this is what I needed. And, you know, now I realize it wasn't. But yeah, I think the big thing there was there was no monitoring, and there was no echoes, no blood work to spot something that could be off. There was just throwing the kitchen sink at it nonstop.
Christian, just a quick one on that. Say, like, if Patrick gave you a cycle, were you adding to it yourself then? Would you have been seeing that? Would you have pushed the boat more if you were told 500 tests? Would you have been, I could do a gram?
No, do you know what, Mike? There was so much shit on the fucking piece of paper, like on the thing. Like, it was so much to take off. It's like, just take. The one thing I did do, I think he like the incident was quite low, you know. So it was like, I think I just always took like, I think it was like 6 or 8 or so. I was just feeling, I was like, oh, fuck, I'll just go take 10. You know what I mean? Like maybe small things like that. But no, I think I followed things quite to a T with this, because in my eye, he had so many pros at the time. I was like, I have to follow this exactly as it is. You know, that's the way I was thinking. I was like, no, he's got a plan, exactly this to a T. You know, so. I think that was just kind of like after years of being reckless, and you know, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And then I was training just as locked in, just about to hit. Felt this pain in my stomach. It just didn't go away overnight. I don't know what it was. Didn't know what it was. Tried to make myself get sick. Nothing came up. Just fucking basically bile. And yeah, I was admitted into hospital and basically found out I had a tumor that basically had burst and bled. And then I was internally bleeding. At the time, it was being contained within my liver. And then, it spread out. And then that's when I spent the guts. I spent 2 weeks in hospital and about a week or so in ICU, because they weren't sure I was going to pull through or not, because it had spread out of my liver and I was obviously having an internal bleed. So they actually had to go in through my groin with coil to stop the bleed, you know. So at that stage, that was a real wake-up call at that stage, you know. So at that stage, yeah, I thought kind of like bodybuilding was done. I kind of really did think bodybuilding was done, because I fucked myself also I had CT scans, MRI scans when I was there. You've also enlarged your kidney and liver. They're quite big, So, again, just probably too long running high dose of growth hormone for too long.
Yeah.
Something I wouldn't have realized, if you keep running high dose of growth hormone, something bad's probably going to happen. You need to, I don't think you need to realize that as well. Like, it's like, okay, if you stay on this high dose for a very long period of time, not just muscle's going to grow, probably, so there is HGH abuse. I think that is a real thing, genuinely. Personally, anyway, I can only speak from my own experience, because I think that also then helped grow the tumor. I think probably Anadrol I'd been taking, that is linked to giving benign tumors in the liver. So I do believe that was probably what it did, and then the growth grew it. So that's kind of like one of those things. It's like, we all think about it when we think about GH, and when we're running it to levels that people weren't ever doing before. Do we really need to do that? Because if you have a cancerous cell in your body, is it going to potentially grow that? So look, but again, these are all the things that happen.
Again, Christian, it's the lack of the health monitoring, right? Like, before you were admitted,
I could have spotted this, Dara. Yeah.
Here's the thing, right? Like, people talk about blood pressure and blood pressure being a silent killer, right? If my blood pressure is 120, or if my blood pressure is 150, I'm not going to feel the difference. The only reason I know is if I actually monitor and check myself. So for you, in the lead up to you being admitted to hospital, was there ever like a period, maybe a month beforehand, 2 months beforehand, where you're like, I kind of feel a bit toxic here. I kind of feel a bit off. Or was it just like, oh shit, I'm in trouble here?
I was completely consumed, Dara, because Patrick Tor told me I was going to. He hoped I could compete in the MP. I wanted to compete in the NPC because I could absolutely win my pro card and compete in 2-on-2. So that's, once I was told that, Dara, I was already consumed. Nothing else mattered to me. Nothing. I became a shit dad, a shit partner, a shit friend, everything. Nothing mattered to me.
And like, they used to jump into that point, Christian, right? When you say you were pushing it, were you like, running 2+ gram cycles and just doing that kind of for years on end, throwing in the world, throwing in effort really, and not really taking any time off? Like, what was the extent of the abuse for you to get to a position you feel like where you had that liberation?
Yeah, like, the thing is, it's funny. I remember back then, everyone always used to say I must have been running all this shit to stay super lean. When I was in Brand, I didn't run anything too crazy. I think my cycles were always like 750 test, 500 EQ, and like 300 trend. It was nothing mad. But when you're doing that and then you're not taking proper breaks, you're doing 250 grams test then for a few weeks. Now I'm bored now. No blood work. Just going to go back on now. Done 3 weeks. Back on now. Straight back to that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, straight back to that. Then, doing all these preps back to back, throwing in, just take loads of Anavar, loads of Winstrol, loads of everything, Again, maybe just 2 or 3 weeks as a health phase at 215 milligrams of testosterone. Grand now, because I say so. Back on. All whilst the way of running, Pfizer GH at like, what was it, like 8 IUs or something like that? Like, never any breaks from these things, So it was just really reckless, Dara. Like, not once did I check my bloods. I think I got my bloods checked when I was like 23 or 24, and I got a bollocking off it, and I just like, I'm never coming back here. I never want to be. I don't want.
You're just like ignorance is bliss off it.
I was just like, I don't want to hear this. I don't hear. Literally, this was me. La 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 la. Anybody who wanted to talk about?
I'd agree with you on that, because back then as well, like, if we got bloods, I remember getting bloods done in 2018 or something like that, and get a bollocking like that. And it turns you off going to your GP to get it done.
Yeah, that's different now.
We're lucky now we have these private clinics.
Yeah,
they'll do it, and when they see the results, like, there's no negativity around it. Like that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so kind of at that stage, I was quite serious for a while, because they were kind of talking about, was I going to need a transplant, all this shit. I was like, oh Jesus, it sounded really full, because I was just genuinely was like, fuck, what have I done? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, and to this day, I still get MRIs done, but all of a sudden, then the tumor started to shrink or disappear, because they found a few. Then some of them disappeared. Then the rest started shrinking. So what they kind of put that down to was like, not necessarily maybe the PEDs, but I think the removal of taking GH, they were no longer aggressively growing. And what we're actually seeing is they stopped growing, So I basically went off everything, completely cold turkey, which was zero crack, and stopped. I couldn't train for a long time, but kind of got out of it completely out of it. Mark will remember
what you said at the very, very beginning of the podcast, Christian. You said, I took a break and I stepped out of it for 7 years or whatever. And when I say I stepped out of it, I stepped out of it. So talk to us about that, right? Because obviously you go from a position where I'm with Patrick Tour. He's one of the best coaches in the world. He's turning everyone pro. He tells me I could be a 212 pro. I'm doing whatever it takes. And then all of a sudden, you're in the hospital, right? Talk us through mentally how you coped with that and where you were at when you came out of the hospital and how you went through the thought process of like, right, what am I going to do with my life now?
Yeah. Fair. Because you see, I was addicted to Instagram. I just liked posting these pictures of me looking great and people stroking my ego, and I was like, that was great. This is brilliant. Like, addicted to that. And like, Alex would be like, are you like, I'm in the fucking room. You have a kid here. Like, all you want to do is like have strangers give you validation. And I don't know if it's because I spent so long wanting validation, and I stemmed back from being a kid wanting to be like, not being like slagged or picked on or, whatever. And like, and like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I often think about that. I'm like, why did I want this so bad? But I needed it. I fucking needed it. So social media is just like no good for me at that kind of stuff, Like, I was like, what were you doing? So naturally that goes, right, Dara? So like, you're like, oh shit, right? Then you do something stupid. You're like, you're so kind of ashamed and embarrassed about what happened. And you're also thinking, oh, everyone always thought I was running X, Y, and Z all the time. They're going to be fucking chuffed to hear this. You're fucking... you're really paranoid about everything, and I'm a paranoid person, so I'm questioning everything. But then you play the poor me card, poor me. No one's calling me. No one has called to check in on me. It's like, is your phone broken? Why the fuck haven't you picked up your phone and text people just be like, I'm okay. Just, you should know what happened to me. This is what happened to me. But you won't. You're trying to have pride. You just want people to think you stepped away. You were just letting people think you've just left, because family wanted. That's not why you left. That's not why you left. You were embarrassed about what happened and you didn't want anyone to know about it. And up until very recently, the only person who's really known about it outside Alex was Alan. He's the only person, okay? And I'll touch on that now in a minute. So that's important. It's a very important part of the story. But I think it was weird, Dara, because you lose your identity, okay? So you've built this identity around bodybuilding, okay? And it's gone. It's gone. Because of my liver kind of essentially failing, I'm in hospital, I lost 14 kilos in 2 weeks. So I was like, I remember like trying to go up the stairs the day I got back from hospital and I felt so weak.
What was it like when you first looked at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck?
Man, and I get up the next morning, it was check-in day, I take the photos, I send them to Patrick, and I'm just like, I don't know what else to do, like, and he's just like, I think eventually kind of stopped replying, and I was like, oh, like, I feel really vulnerable. I felt so vulnerable. I'm like, I don't know who I am. Like, at this stage, Alex kind of actually moved away from me. She's like, I can't be with someone like this. I don't want your fucking kid around this kind of person, and rightly so, you're just so obsessed with yourself, and this was the big problem, So, I'm like, I fucking don't know what I'm doing. I kind of feel like I've got nothing. I've got no one. Like, you're playing this poor me kind of card. And like, I didn't really know like what to be doing. And like Patrick was like, oh, look, first, one moment you're thanking me. One moment you're kind of saying, you need more from me. What is it? I don't know. I'm just so fucking like, like really don't know who I am. And I would have loved some more support from him from that thing. But yeah, that ended the way it did. And it is what it is. I can't do anything about that. But I suppose then I just started embracing it, and the big job then, Dara, was I was going to get my now wife back and I was going to, really focus on being a good dad. I was like, I don't know, like if I'm going to need a transplant, I don't know if this is going to eventually catch up with me. All I know now is I can focus on the now. So, just what I did was just focus on trying to rebuild my family. And, yeah, here we are today. Obviously, that's kind of where it got to, and thankfully, she gave me another chance. And basically, that, like, being a dad became my world, like it should have been from day one, right? But it became my world, So completely came off everything. Went through the hypogandism, which was zero crack. That was tough because you essentially feel like a woman. You genuinely do. You just feel like you have no manliness. It's the worst. Like, so anyone listening to this, never ever go through it. Go get some help, please, because don't do what I did, because I was going to an endocrinologist. And you won't believe this, because at the time I had a beard and I had hair on my back. You won't believe what they said. They got my blood work done, came back a month later. They're like, you have a beard. And I'm wearing the fucking mask and all that shit. They're like, well, you have a beard and you have hair on your back. Your testosterone will come back. And I'm like, I'm dumb at this stage, lads. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm so like, whatever, you know what I mean? But I'm like, looking back now, I'm like, you fucking bastards. Like I'm clearly like that's a mental thing to say. Because I have hair on my face, like my testosterone's going to come back.
Lack of knowledge and the lack of just it's it's the same over here in the UK as well. I heard something very funny actually off someone I know the other day with regard to like, I don't know what it was, something similar like that, like something they were told basically by a doctor.
Yeah. So yeah, so anyway, my wife and I decided to have another kid or try for another kid. I was like, I wasn't sure if this was going to work or whatnot, but it turned out because my LH and FSH were working so hard to try and produce testosterone, I ended up producing a lot of sperm, so that was one plus. So we ended up getting pregnant very easily with the second. So now we have 2 kids, which is great. And really from that point on, being a dad was just me. That was my identity, that was my identity.
Do you think, Christian, right, looking back on that, obviously it's an incredibly rough thing to go through and it's basically like a near-death experience. But at the time, in your own words, right, you're a bit of an egomaniac, right? Like,
oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah.
All a spade is spade, right? So do you think going through that horrible experience and being forced to take a step back from that, focus on your family, focus on the more important things in life, do you think like that was important for you and transformative for you to kind of get to the
1000%, 1000%
to get back into bodybuilding?
The big problem I made, Dar, was I blamed bodybuilding at the time because I'm thinking like, oh, it's bodybuilding was the problem, but I was wrong. It was never the problem.
It was you.
It was because we have a lot of people at the moment getting out of bodybuilding, kind of giving out about bodybuilding, like,
and it's all they couldn't handle the heat. Yeah,
it's in here. That was the problem. I was the problem. That's the thing. My personality, the way I had become, was the problem. And I should no business going near things like PEDs until I was in a good place. That's the thing there. You know what I mean? I was the problem. So if I start putting things into myself that are just going to, heighten, the things I'm going through and my emotions and whatnot, that's on me. You know what I mean? So that was the thing. I should have taken a step back a long time ago, got myself right. But I didn't, but like as time went on, I'm like, what was I doing? Like bodybuilding was something I loved. It was an escape. It was something I had. So it was never the problem. I was the problem. I was what attention. Again, it comes back to being an attention seeker. It was that attention I wanted and letting that take over. Being good, successful at something, and the attention you got from that and craving it. That was the problem. Never bodybuilding. Okay. It may have been where it came from, getting that attention and whatnot. Bodybuilding wasn't the problem ever.
We see a lot of bodybuilders step away from bodybuilding as well. And, they try and change their image or their coaching, or they might start doing high rocks, they might start doing whatever. A lot of them kind of step back into bodybuilding, or a lot of them,
it was taken from me, I took it from myself, that was the thing. That's the thing. So yeah, time passed and I was kind of, I suppose, always kind of still following Alan. I was following Connor, and you're looking, oh God, fucking what, wish I could have done that, or kept doing that, and I stayed in touch with Connor McGee all the way through. We were good friends, so we stayed in touch the whole way through. And then one voice note one day, just a catch up one, generally to see how he was and whatnot. He's like, oh, you know what? Alan's actually opening a new gym, in I live in Kildare. So he's like, there's, he's opening a gym. It's only 20 minutes from you. Do you want to do a session? And then I saw Alan put up a thing about the opening day, and I text Connor. I was like, do you want to do it on this day? And he's like, see you there. And stepped into train with Connor, after a long time not doing training, so. And
how did that go, Christian? How are you feeling then?
Connor was enormous. He was fucking massive since the last time I saw him. I was like, oh God. And here's me, like fucking not even 90 kilos. I'm like, oh good Lord, like this is going to be a disaster. Thankfully, it was his arm and delts day. I was like
yeah, nice.
But I enjoyed it. I was like, this is class. I joined the gym that day, so I went up to Alan and, we met properly for the first time. So, and then I joined and then went on family holiday, and I went back and did another session with Connor, and he was like, do you want to start training together? And I was like, fuck, I'll try, So, I jumped in, started training with him, and I got to know Alan. And then I started kind of getting a good response in terms of growing again. And at this stage, I'm on TRT, by the way, so at this stage I go, you know what, maybe I'll just take it to 300, so I did, and then climbed it a little bit. And then I went and got an MRI scan to see what my liver looks like, and it was like, has had no impact on my liver. So, okay, TRT hasn't, doing a small cycle hasn't. Okay, so, I sat down with Alan and kind of told him everything, because Alan, I was like, Alan kind of like, would you, so let's have a chat, so I had a chat with him, and you know, he did a shit ton of research, you know, about what happened to me, what not, and if he thought it was there, or you know, anything could happen. And he was like, under me, I don't think you can. I think we can do this in a safe way. So, you know, again, got into it, got an MRI scan done, no damage, you know, everything looks good in my liver. So I'm like, okay, fuck yeah, let's go then, you know, let's go for it. And you know, I suppose then with Alan, I've never, even under Patrick, anything, I've never had coaching like this. It's fucking next level. Like, it's fucking, the man knows what to do with everything. Like, if there's something wrong, he's just like, do this. And I'm immediately fixes, you know, like he's just, it's insane, you know. So Alan's just been, yeah, and he's just somebody, you know, I was like the coaching, everything, I was just not used to it. I was like, this is incredible. And then he's just somebody who then, you know, became a very close friend of mine now, you know. So it's amazing how the world works, you know. So, and you look, you guys have been down, Mike, you haven't been yet, but like, it's a really nice community we have down there, and it's just something.
Ireland needs a little hub like that, you know.
And look, people do think it's a clique. They're like, I've heard that, by the way, but I'm like, fuck off. Did you not see the? I'm sure everyone saw the picture on fucking when we went for dinner there over Christmas. It's like, oh, how many half the table are coached by Adam? Would you piss off? Like, it's not a fucking cult, you know?
And the thing is, I had to fly back that day. I would have been there if my
it's
flight.
A shame, man. Yeah, next time we were saying we're gonna make it an annual thing. For next time, definitely.
But Christian, do you know when you're saying that? When did you link up coaching with Alan then? Is this 2024, 2025, like say from your time off? Is that when you kind of went back when you trained with Connor? Is that when things?
Yeah, so it would have been 18 months ago. I'm back training about 18 months now. And about 2 or 3 months after, because Connor getting ready for the Gasp Sweden show and the RBF National.
Oh, yeah.
So around that time, Alan and I sat down and he was like, I think we could do this. I think we can do this. I've looked into it and I feel confident I can guide you through this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
talk us through, Christian, just like very briefly, like what it kind of looks like for you now in terms of your protocol. It's like, right, yeah, this is what I'm willing to do. This is how we approach things. This is the health monitoring we do. This is the supplementation I take. And how are you now approaching it? Or in a new, fresh way versus what you did before in the past?
Yeah, sure. I suppose everything, like, so bloods are done every 6 weeks, pretty much, and there is no risk in terms of choice of BDs, like no risk. I remember I wanted to take the DHB stuff because when the mass and probe shortage was there, he was like, absolutely not. He was like, no fucking way.
Yeah.
He was like, no fucking way. He was like, I was like, oh, what if it was small? He was, no. He was like, you're not fucking taking that. So pretty much what we have run is pretty much test and mastron. Obviously no GH, that's a big no-no. So that's never going to be a case again. Obviously, you know, what you guys would all be taking in terms of health subs, you know, a big focus on the liver and whatnot. And then, you know, excuse me, and then things that just I suppose then we're kind of probably doing a bit small bit running that MOT-C now at the moment. I was running SLU, and then like it's hilarious. We've just when we finish up that last cycle, that was like the highest we've ever gone, and we got bloods done a week before that cycle finished. That's the best my liver has ever looked in the last 6 years. There were readings, you know. So like he promised me, he was like, I will.
Right? Here's one for our listeners, because we're always fucking talking about this shit, right? Do you think that is down to living, right, a better lifestyle overall? As in, you're training more frequently, you're sleeping better, you're obviously eating better, you have taken all your supplementation, and your blood works slightly better. So it's like, you know, what is the healthier position to be in? The guy who was on TRT, who maybe haven't his training and his diet and his supplementation nailed in, or the guy who's taken, you know, a small cycle, but he's got everything nailed down?
Yeah, I definitely think it's the latter. Like, I really do. I think it's like what you're saying. It's like, you know, it could be either at the end of the day. If you've got everything nailed down, you know, whether you're on TRT or you are sensibly blasting, I think it just proves this can be done in a safer way, you know. Like immediately, like I gave up the vapes recently because my hematocrit started to climb up a bit. And I was like, immediately, a unit of blood out now. He was like, immediately. And then I saw him, he was like, book it now. And I was like, sorry.
The only time I ever seen my hematocrit elevated in a blood test was when I did a Zyn right before I got the bloods done.
Really?
Yeah, because nicotine artificially raises your hemoglobin.
Yeah, fair.
So I had like a Zyn in, and like my hematocrit was elevated. I was like, oh, that's weird. I've never seen that. And Kuba was asking me, I need this, I need that. What about the vapes? He's still on the vapes. Of course, you know what? Actually, it did have quite a bit of nicotine that morning. He was like, that's it. So
like that, he was immediately like, immediately was like, go, unit of blood out now. You know, so he is like, he is very on top of me in terms of like always, and he'll always have a question. Like if, like it's one thing he's kind of always looking like, it's been great. Like, it's just like, for example, like my only protein sources are chicken and whey. That's all I eat because it's like, we've had to push my food quite hard. And like, he's just really like, he will not put any foods in that like don't in any way agree with me. You know, he's like, nope, that's gone. You know, so like, it's been really good. Like the big thing for me is I'm enjoying it, but I'm doing it in a way I've never done before. Like when I'm in the gym, when I am driving to the gym, I train early in the mornings. And when I'm in the gym, I'm obviously very locked in. That's what I'm thinking about, the goal at hand, and I'm training. But like once, maybe a little bit when I'm coming home. But once I go, go through that front door, I'm whoever my kids need me to be. You know what I mean? Like it's gone.
That's the biggest shift you've had as well. Is say if this was 6-7 years ago, you came in the door, you were still that full on bodybuilder.
Yes,
you have the balance that
there's no balance
now, and that's probably as well when everything is so good and it's going so smooth. Is because you're a happier person. Like left that old version behind.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. Like it's weird. For a while there, I was very much like in feeling like, imposter syndrome, because like I was an old guy from this sport, I'm just walking around and there's this new blood, you guys, like obviously Mark, but look, I always knew Mark was going the direction he was going. That was obvious from day one, but like, you guys are the top dogs in this.
It's important to have respect though for people who have been in the game longer than you. It is very
I don't know. Well, it was kind of funny in a way because I just very much felt like, oh fuck,
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting one,
And people will be sorry, Mark, go ahead. You go ahead.
So people will be reminded to see old Christian. So it's
we'll see. I'm gonna blame you now if I come last.
Actually, go on, talk to us, right? We'll maybe get the old ego monster out here now, just a little bit, right? So, how are you feeling heading into Muscle Contest Ireland next year? You're confident, or are you feeling a little bit of that imposter syndrome? Be honest.
Both. I'm not confident. Sorry, I am not confident. I'm terrified, and I am feeling imposter syndrome. Yeah, terrified. I would have liked to go another year. Adam's like, I think you're ready to go now, and everyone's kind of like, no, this is the time. I feel like I needed more time, and Adam's like, why? So
I don't know, man. You look fairly ready to me. So
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It's terrifying, but look, you know what the nice thing is? Like in a way, like, I would have liked to do novice in my head, but I can't because I've won a novice in FPC. But like, in the back of my head, that's the way I'm thinking. Like, I need to ease into this. But like, what I like about it is I know this is going to. Let's forget about the pro qualifier for a second. When we talk about the regionals, there's a shit ton of guys doing it. Apparently, like, I've never met him, but your man Ben Gardner, he's a freak. He's unbelievable. A guy I competed at the NABA Worlds with, Vinny something or other, Vinny McCormick. Boys, I think he's with Brian Ward, is he? He's very good. He's very good. Akin could be in the heavies, So when I'm sorry, like I'm sure someone's gonna say, I'm looking at you in the heavies and you're forgetting about me. There's probably someone else, but like when you think about it alone, before you even talk about a pro qualifier, that fucking heavies is gonna be some fucking lineup. So look, at least I'm jumping in at the deep end.
This is what we want in Irish bodybuilding.
Yeah, at least I'm jumping into the deep end. I was like, you know what, if I'm gonna do this, let's have a shot, and I'm gonna go against some very good fucking bodybuilders in the heavyweights, and then pro qualifiers. Well, I'm sure you lads are hearing about your man Jay Harrison's apparently could be possibly coming over. Like, there's gonna be fucking, like, I'm not even thinking about that. Like, you have no idea who's coming on the day. That's all I can think of.
Anyway, Chris.
Sorry, bro.
He'll be the Stoopers anyway, Jamie.
Oh, I heard I listened to a podcast about them saying they might be skimming him down to try and squeeze him in.
No, that's somebody else, Christian. That's It's not the Jamie Harrison you're thinking of.
Oh, okay. But even still, there's going to be freaks like that flying over. This is an established show, lads, and I think that was the first thing. Who got a bit of a shock?
It's going to be the flagship show now.
Did anyone else get a shock when they saw some of the guys show up with that pro qualifier last year? Like, the size of them. I was like, because we heard about that guy from Sweden who was apparently going to do it. Was he the French or German? He had won the supers at Germany or at Sweden the week before. He did the supers. Then they gave it to the mass monster dude. But you're just sort of like a second seeing all these supers coming out, and you're like, what on earth? That's going to be like only like ×2 this year, in my opinion. This is a perfect show for a lot of people. It's between Sweden and the Amateur Olympia in Spain. A lot of people are going to be there. So when we talk about pro qualifiers, I'm not even thinking about that. But the big thing for me, guys, being completely honest with you, is depending on how long I actually stay in this, like, you know, I'm obviously having another bash at this. How I do and how I compare against some very other guys will determine like what I do. Like, will I keep going with this competitively? Just competitively, because I'm like at this stage with 2 kids. You know, I'm 34 now. It's like, do I still have it? Can I be there? You know, if I look not too bad against some of these very big boys, maybe we will keep going. You know, but you know, there's only one way to
still
find
young,
out.
Christian. 34 is still young.
Have time. Christian, do you have shows lined up? Like, are you just looking at Ireland at the minute, or do you have a further plan into June?
Yeah. So
I'm sure Alan definitely has a further plan for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, you know, like we had talked about, so obviously because I've competed in America before, I'd love to go back. I'd love to go stay with Kathy. I would love to kind of line up a show over there if we could make that happen. Maybe bring the kids to Disneyland, do a bit of a trip for it. You know, that could be cool. So we're kind of maybe quietly looking at maybe doing something like that if it lines up, you know. Was meant to be doing I was going to hopefully do, because we're going to go over with the kids on the 20th of June, I think it was, to do Alicante. But that clashes with Connor's wedding, so can't do that. At the moment, TBC, Mike, would definitely like to do something like maybe a trip to America that could turn into a trip to Disneyland for the kids. Could be cool, you know, that kind of way. But at the moment, man, just Ireland for now, and gonna have to get out, have a look at the calendar. But
You have 2 opportunities for Spain anyway, Christian. The Amateur Olympia is the first week of June, and the MPro is the 20th.
So I heard. So there could be a few opportunities. Yeah. So to be honest with you, man, the way I'm thinking, you know, like Alan is thinking otherwise. Yes, he is.
I'll be out there anyway, mate, so I'll see you there, all right?
Yeah. Like Alan's thinking otherwise. But for me, guys, just Mark, you know me as a person. The way I am, I can't look past muscle contests. I have to fully focus on just being in the mix. I want to be in the mix and believe I still have it to be in the mix, you know. And if I can be there, I'll push on, you know, and go, okay, maybe there's a bit of life left in the old dog.
I think you just need to get up there, mate, and just get your confidence back.
Yeah, for sure. I need to be up there and, you know, feel it, you know. I'm super excited. It's going to feel fucking weird. Prep starts next week.
Yeah.
Fucking prep again. I'm like, what? This is fucking mad. I've forgotten how to do this, but maybe I haven't.
You know what is, when you get up on stage, it'll probably feel like you never left as well. Like, you know,
I hope so. I hope you're bloody right, because I'm terrified.
No, when you get up there, you'll just hit the pose, and I guarantee you'll go backstage, you'll just be smiling to yourself as like, I've missed this.
Yeah, like maybe. Hopefully you're right, man. It's like, it's a weird one. I'm a very private person. I always kind of, like, the weird thing about me, the ironic thing about all this, wanting all the attention, I am actually quite private. Like, I never shared anything about my kids or anything back then, kids now. But like, I'm on, like, you guys have seen my following. It's not very big. I'm on private. There's nothing. You've all seen it. Like, I'm sure you've seen all the pictures of me when I was a whippet.
Shadows, mate. It's always that guy that fucking shows up and kills everyone.
But you've seen the pictures of me of a whippet, literally a whippet over the last few years before I started going back training. Like, there's nothing on it that's great. But then I have people who are like now following me or whatever, and I'm like, but they won't come, like ask to follow me, but then they'll walk by me if they're in the AK. I'm like, well, why are you following me then? There's nothing on my fucking Instagram.
Hey, that's just fucking kids these days, though. You know.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's strange, you know. It's just like
social anxiety. It's
Are we at that stage though? Like, we will talk, we'll follow people, but if we see them in person, we'll never say,
yeah, bro, crazy.
Yeah.
You know,
crazy.
But no, it's a cool one. Obviously, I'm training with Mantis, who's going for a classic, which has been really cool. That's, you know, he's a very good friend. This one's nice because me and Mantis used to train together with Brian Keary, who Mark will remember, probably the strongest Irish bodybuilder of all time. Fucking freak. 180 kilo walking lunges, madman. But you know, that's been fun. Obviously, doing it together with him and stuff like that. Good chance you guys will meet in the overall.
It's scary, mate. He looks like a fucking super heavyweight bodybuilder, bro.
I know, but the weight's flying off, man. Yeah, the weight. I think he told me he lost 6 kilos in the first week or something when I was chatting. Mental. He's down to 116 already. Yeah. So, like, it's crazy. But you're C, right?
I'm class C and he's class D.
Yeah. So so it'd be good. Some crack.
And we've got Brian as well in class.
Brian looks fucking incredible, lad.
We
talked about somebody like I still post the, you know, I will still post the odd picture on my story. You know, I don't know why, because I've only got like a handful of people. But I'm actually just, you know, making people in my family or whatever, my job, fucking looking at me in my fucking my trunks. But like,
Keep them coming.
Yeah, we're
But
all here
he
for.
is somebody who's keeping it serious under wraps, and Brian looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like, lads, how good does he look?
Seen him last year because I'd seen him. I was watching a live stream. I don't know, was it Sweden or Spain? I think it could have been Spain when he did a pro qualifier 2 years before that. And I seen him on stage and I've seen him in the live stream, right? And then I seen him backstage in Muscle Contest Ireland. And I was like, what the fuck, is this the same person? You know Brian as well, right? He's very pale. So when he's the tan on, you're like, whoa, you know what I mean, right?
You know, I know.
I was like, Brian, what the fuck, man? You look crazy. And he was up about 10 kg, must have, like a 10 kg stage weight.
Do you remember when you won the overall? And do you remember how happy he was for you in his face?
Yeah, he was.
He's just the most like the nicest person you'll ever meet. He genuinely, like Alan gives out to him because he tries to make friends backstage.
Yeah, he told me before we got on stage, he was like, "You're winning this, you're winning this." I was like, I don't know, Brian.
He's such a wonderful, like, and you know what? But like, to your point there, how good is it that we're talking about, even before we talk about pro qualifiers, because we never know who's going to show up, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about in class, I don't know when it's going to be A, C, and D. The quality across that regional.
You know,
how good, you know, that if you three are in the overall, how fucking awesome is that, you know?
Yeah, I got no illusions coming into this muscle contest show this year that like it's going to be a battle in the regional, let alone the pro qualifier.
That's what we want, though, isn't it? That's what we want.
I would ideally like to have that battle in the regional and have it again at the pro qualifier in the evening time, you know?
Yeah.
Like Brian won his class last year. Like I'd like to be winning my class. I'd like to see Mantis win his class in the evening time. And have us all Irish bodybuilders in the evening time. Battling it out. Like that's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's apps. And how good would that be for Irish bodybuilding? You know, it needs it. From what I can see, Irish bodybuilding needs a lit. I don't like the way there's kind of this thing where like people, maybe it's more of a younger thing, but people will only associate with who they're being, like if their coaches these people,
coached by,
they only hang out with them. It's like, Mark, how mad was that? None of us we were all coached by different people back in the day. Like
I've noticed that as well.
It's strange.
That's just an athlete thing, but it's nothing got to do with the coach at all. Do you know what I mean?
No, God, no, of course not. But it's just strange. It's almost like, oh yeah, they're against us. It's like, well, so could they be if you're the same fucking weight or the same fucking height class, you know? But no, look, it's an exciting time, you know. It really is.
Ireland's a small place, and I think the fact now that like everyone compete against each other, like you, Mantis, Brian, like. You'd all get on. You're all friends. It's not like going into a hostile environment. It's like Irish bodybuilding is growing in that front. That no one like this really just likes each other, or you know.
And it wasn't always like that back then. Margaret Tabor, the RBF and NABA divide. Good God. Yeah. For such a small island, it was ridiculous, lads. Like it really fucking was. Like, good Lord, the fact that you couldn't have people from RBF going to compete at a NABI universe, like this is brain dead, or vice versa, brain dead shit. It really was.
There's enough good table for everyone to eat, isn't there? And I think
I will actually tell you a funny story here. So I done Europeans 2018.
I remember that. Yeah,
and that qualified me for Arnold Classic the following year that I wanted to do. But after Europeans, I'd done a PCA show the week after. So I messaged someone. I was like, look, can I do the Arnold? I done Europeans last year. They were like, perfect. So I was like, right, qualified with the Irish team for the Arnolds. And then like 5 weeks out or something, I got an email saying like, sorry, did you do PCA last year? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, right, you're not coming with us anymore. You're not allowed to do the Arnolds. I was like, 5 weeks out. I'm like, fuck. And I had to be like, look, I have my flights booked. I have my family's flights booked. Like, they were like, send me on all the proof. So I had to send them the proof so I could go to the Arnolds. It was crazy.
Madness. Like, let's just all stay in our little shell. You know what I mean? It's fucking madness.
I think though, like that mutual respect between the competitors is very important. And I see it like there's a lot of younger Irish bodybuilders who are going to be coming up now that may be looking at the likes of me and Mantis and Brian and stuff like that as well, right? And like you want to be setting an example, not just like physique wise, but like sportsmanship wise for people that are coming up as well, so that we don't have this perpetual like bitchiness in Irish bodybuilding. Does that make sense? Like you want camaraderie to be there. Like that's why, you know, like Mark and Michael probably speak to this as well. Like when we're over here, right? There's way more camaraderie between like all the coaches and all the athletes. And
I noticed that when I was at the British finals.
It's fucking great, right? But then,
Yeah.
like, sometimes you can not get that, like back in Ireland. It's strange, right? It is obviously going to come along, but yeah, it's just a weird one.
Yeah. It's weirdly, like I think you get a lot of this, that, and the other. Like, and like Alan's kind of right the way. Like Alan will just kind of like Alan has time of day for anyone. He really does, But like I think a lot of people like were like, oh, he just because he keeps to himself, he's not approachable. He's super approachable. You fucking even if you're not being coaching me, he'd fucking help you if you need him. You know what I mean? And look, maybe there's just that kind of like. Just a lot of people are like that, you know what I mean? And that's the way it is. But you are dead right. Like I think you're right. It's important though that they see that camaraderie, like for us who are a bit older, because they're the ones who are going to now try and go do the same thing, right? And they need to see this doesn't need to be fucking hate everyone, and be antisocial. That's crazy. We're on a fucking tiny island. You know what I mean? There needs to be, and like what the three of you have, guys, like we're like genuinely treasure it. Like what you guys have is so special, this friendship you guys have, because it's very hard to fucking have that, where each and every one of you would defend each other's names when the other one's not in the room. That's special, and it's so hard to come by. Like genuinely, trust me on that. Like it's so hard. Like, and I'd watch you guys on the podcast all the time, and it was like these guys really fucking care about each other. That comes across, and it's deadly.
We appreciate it, Christian.
No, it's great to see that, and that's all we wanted from this, is just to show, like, you can see the chats, like you'd say, Christian, from watching us. Our chats, we don't pre-plan anything. We just press record.
I love that.
And you can see the way we're coming.
I love this show, like, yeah.
Same when you came on here, we literally talked to you for a minute and we're like, record, and we'll just see where it goes.
Yeah, literally me apologizing for being late. Shocker, I'm always late. But yeah, no, genuinely, like, it's lovely. And like, you got to remember, like, the three of you are in the same line of business. And that's the thing, like, it just goes to show you, like, just want the best for each other, again, something very rare, so.
Christian, to finish off towards the end, right? What advice? What can young people watching this take from this? So, what advice would you give some of the young starting outs on their bodybuilding journey, given your kind of experience and what you've learned?
Yeah, cool. So, I think be very careful, look at your coach, do your research before you hire a coach, follow people that you're interested, on social media, follow them if you think you're interested in working with them, watch them, don't just jump on it, go look at them, see what they're all about. Maybe ask, can you book a consult, do an hour call, ask questions. So, you should be taking notes, like almost go, can we book a call, before I commit to this? Write down a number of questions, what you have, like find out what's important in bodybuilding. Jesus Christ, this ChatGPT these days, type in how to do bodybuilding with PEDs and stay healthy, and it'll fucking tell you what to ask. You know what I mean? Like, that's genuine for me. It's write down the fucking question. What are your goals? What are your goals? Ask them, how they're going to help you achieve those goals. Are they going to be realistic with you? If somebody's got terrible structure, they really struggle, to get in shape, this, that, and the other, or, just there's something not there, because we all have genetic limits, right? We're not all Phil Heaths, as we've talked about. Ask him, what are the expectations for me? Like in terms of if I was to compete, where could I go with this? Like, so really get a feel for that coach, and ask them a little bit about them. Why do you like, why do you like coaching people? Learn about them as the person, because I think that's very important, because let's be honest, lads, I'm sure you guys can all agree, at times coaches need to act like therapists. Right? I have nearly quit. I've nearly packed it in by 20 times. To be honest, I think Alan's ready to kill me. Sorry, Dario, you're on mute, bud.
I think the moral of the story with this podcast, Christian, is your mentor is one of the most important decisions that you're going to make, right? Because had you went with Alan in 2018-19, it could have been a very different story.
Oh man, I say to myself all the time, I was trying to fucking not hurt somebody by not going to him, and I think that's the big thing. It was like, that's the thing. It's like, I'd say he's ready to kill me, lads. I've nearly said, no, I can't do this. I think we shouldn't do this about 20 times. He's just stop it. You could do it.
He's so.
Yeah, so I think that's the one. And then on a personal note, like, as you're trying to build your own brand, whether it's coaching or just for a following, don't follow the crowd. Just be yourself. I wish I was myself from day one. I really do, because now I'm at a place where I don't give a fuck if people don't like me. There's going to be plenty of people who watch this podcast and like, that lad's an awful ageist. That's cool. That's fine. I really don't care, because the people who, your friends are your friends, and they're your friends for a reason. Because they like you, they see what you bring to the table, right? Just be yourself. Don't follow the crowd, don't be a sheep, just be yourself and believe, because that's how your people are going to relate to you. If they see something you like, and like Dar, your podcast, your YouTube channel is fucking brilliant, like it's just you, like you and your missus are like, it's very good, because people like that stuff, that people want to see, reality, because they can relate, so if you're putting up that you're living this optimal, everything's great, and like living the high life, like people can't relate to it all the time. And if you're in a really bad place, but you're constantly in a good place, it's hard. It's like, oh fuck, it makes people question themselves, be relatable. That's my big thing. I always tried to paint things like everything was always perfect when it wasn't, so that's the big thing. Be yourself would be my other bit of advice.
Very good advice.
Yeah.
I could take some of that advice myself as well, Christian.
Nah, man, you actually, in fairness, I had some audios with Mark where I was kind of questioning things before Christmas, and Mark was the person who I actually had to take a leaf out of his own book, to be honest. So I was taking a lot from what Mark said to me. So
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Mark is away that way. He's
he does actually. He does.
Yeah.
He is.
Also,
he's very good that way.
I want to shout out Christian's wife, Alex. She's started her own company. Christian, fill us in.
Yeah, absolutely. So my wife now has a company. She's making bikinis and posing trunks. So you can find her on Instagram as Staged by Alexandra. So if you are looking at competing, please do get in touch with her. Everything is custom made. So it's very much, she wants to build whether it's a bikini posing suit or a bikini stage suit or posing trunks. She wants to build them to what you want. She can get you any color you want. We have them all pretty much. But whether you want, sparkly trunks if you're a man, or you just want plain black, or your classic physique, we have 3 different, 2 or 3. Yeah,
those skin ones as well, Christian, right? They fit perfect. I meant to put them on and take my check-in photos there on Thursday. But
you got them all right?
Put on my green trunks. Yeah, I have them. I'll post them now on Thursday when I'm taking my check-in shot.
Legends. So. Appreciate that, brother. So anything you want, guys, please do get in touch with her, because you'll see on her page she's already getting some pretty cool requests, and she's able to do some pretty cool things. So the moment she's actually working on posing trunks that are 2 different colors, so they're reversible, so they'll have 2 trunks in one. So so she's trying to do a few things that are different as well, and trying to save people money as well by doing a few things outside the box. So really appreciate it, Mark, for that shout out and for the support.
Yeah, guys, I've already sent a few of my clients on. I'll be getting my trunks there as well. So if you're in Ireland, trunks, posing suits, there's your go-to.
Appreciate it, man.
And
anything else you just want to touch on? That was really good.
No.
That was very insightful.
I think a lot of people get a lot of value from that.
I hope so. As I said, look, I'm only ever myself, so that's it. I'll only ever, tell it to you straight. So
guys, put it down in your calendars. Make sure you're getting tickets for Muscle Concert this year. Big man's return.
We'll all be there. I'll be there. Myself and Mark will
be there to support. I'll be there with you backstage. We'll
absolutely looking forward to it. It's gonna be some crack there this year.
Yeah.
I'll be there in the corner crying. I don't want to do this.
Okay, Christian. It's okay. You'll be all right.
Alan, is it too late to pull out?
Yeah. Brilliant. All right, guys. On that note, we'll wrap that up there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this guest episode, if you'd like to see more in the future, then make sure you drop this a like, leave us a comment, and let us know if you have any suggestions for who you'd like to see next. All right, guys.
Right.